Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So quite recently I went on a trip to Scotland where I visited the capital Edinburgh, but also Stirling, seeing the sights, the castles and so on, and I had an idea that I would do a Scottish themed video. Either if I was gonna go ahead and record something or maybe vlog, but I found that vlogging in public, like, hello, I'm in Scotland, it was way too awkward. And it's been a few weeks now, and all I have is a few pictures, and I didn't really know what kind of Scottish themed video I was gonna do. But then I remembered one of you guys said that you unironically liked one of the video I made for the 1st of April where I made cookies. So I ate, I should say, a cookie in Scotland, which I liked very much. So today we are going to make shortbread. Ha! What?
Simple shortbread. Is that really what you had in mind?
Well, what would you have in mind then?
You are underestimating your audience. We're gonna have to do far better than simple shortbread.
Well, I guess you'll take over then. Right, here you go.
Excellent. Now I'm in charge.
Great! Now, with the pauper gone, we can start work on what a more refined taste. So we're going to keep the theme of Scottish shortbread. However, what we're going to do is a millionaire's shortbread. Yes, millionaire. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and start preparations, shall we? Let's start by turning on the oven. We're going to put it at 180 degrees centigrade. Right, so we prepare that. Let's go ahead and start and take a look at the ingredients. I've put them in my hat. We're going to need flour. Flour. We're going to need sugar. Oh, yes. We're going to need butter. Yes, butter. And then we're going to need a Webley 45. Right. And as it was quite popular last time for me to translate the ingredients into American measurements, we're going to do the same. So for the Americans that probably don't have a Webley 45, you can have a Colt instead. It works just as well. Now we're going to mix these ingredients into the bowl. We're making the shortbread bottom of this cake. So you need a bowl to mix these ingredients into. We're going to need 175 grams of butter. Now I do realize Americans measure them in sticks, and I do not have a dog, so we won't be fetching any sticks today to measure that. But I guess that's a rough size of a small hand grenade. In fact, I've already made millionaire's shortbread before, so we've already cut out the exact measurements. How nice is that? We already have 175 grams of butter. Right, so we dip that in. Now it's important here to odd angle. I don't know how this looks. It's important here because we're going to work it with our hands into a soft dough that you leave it outside, not outside, like outside, not with the paupers, not outside, but outside here, so it gets room temperature. Makes it easier to work it over. If you don't, that is when you get the revolver. We're not going to do that because I've left it out, so you don't need the revolver. With that, we're going to need 5 deciliters of flour and 1 deciliter of sugar. Where's my measurements? They're over here. So this, I can't remember what I said last time about the Americans, so god awful. What could this be? 5 of them. 5 of them would make like an average size American hamburger. And then this would be a 1/5 of that, right? We're going to mix that in, and then we're going to start working it over with our hands. Oh. Right, I've already put 1 in from a previous bag. We're going to open this new one and add 4. The interesting thing about Scotland was, well, among other things, we'll start from the beginning, shall we? That's where we can start. I was transferring from Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands. So it was quite interesting to see, as we were approaching that one, you have the polders with tulips everywhere. Let's see if I keep the count here. It'll be funny if I fail, but it'll be better if I don't. That was 3. So this is 4. It was kind of interesting to see as we approached that in tulips and whatnot. As we got to Scotland, you know, it's kind of stereotypical, but there was quite a few golf courses along the way. And then, of course, the weather reminded me of home because it was raining. Let's see. That's about 5, I hope. Right, we're going to put that one aside. So that was quite interesting. It also, I mean, the entire area felt like it was super old. Like there were like these Victorian stone buildings everywhere. The entire town was like I was traveling back into the Victorian age, which I very much liked. With that, now we're gonna start working the thing over. And I know some squeamish people, oh, he touched the revolver and I was gonna touch the dough. How disgusting. In between every take, I go ahead and wash my hands religiously. Too much, just because I'm anxious about making anyone sick. Now we're gonna roll up our sleeves and we're gonna work this in until it becomes kind of breadcrumbish. You don't want it to be a uniform like lump of whatever. You want it, you'll see. Now, for the sake of ease, as we were traveling with a group of other Swedes, and the interesting part about that is someone had sent on along with this group on their own the demented old mother. So we didn't stay with the group, we went on our own. However, the group had to contend with this demented person running about. I do not know, but I guess they were trying to get rid of their old mother. Seems like this could be... I mean, Scotland isn't that dangerous for demented people, is it? I do not know. Is this a common way of getting... Maybe it's a common way. I've never heard of it before. Sending your demented mother to get lost in Scotland. It's an episode of Midsummer Murders. Now, I watched an American recipe which used this electrical device to blend it over. However, that is very crude, I'd say. Rather work it in with my hands. You know, back in the day when I first got started in labour, I worked in the mines. Like all kids, I yearned for the mines. Yes, now we're going to start working this over, squeezing it together, right? Working it in. Yes, ooh, wonderful. Now, as you can see, there's very much flour in it. So you get this sort of, now it's early stages, but it's going to keep this sort of flaky, breadcrumish feel to it as we keep working it in. So you just keep working this until we cut away, until I've actually done this properly. Now this is what it's supposed to look like when it's all mixed together. It's not a uniform sort of lump of dough. It's sort of all in these kinds of pieces. And now we're going to put it into our form. Right, so we're going to press it into this. Now, you would butter it up a little bit so it's easier to pull it out. However, I'm 35 years old, without any kids. Pulling stuff out is not one of my main concerns. I have become quite professional in that sense. Right, so we get the dough in there. This should be, I believe, with the measurements of the batch, as it were, would be around 20 by 20 centimeters, which is, I guess, a small gun case for you Americans, for a small dainty handgun, the one you use to shoot the. Never mind, let's not go there. Now we're gonna press this in to the bottom, right? Pressing into the bottom, another one of my specialties. Right, so we're going to press this in. We're going to nice, even. Right. Nice and even bottom. Yes, touch the bottom. Keep touching it. Damn you, keep touching it. Touch the bottom. Oh, of course, if, you need consent, of course, to touch the bottom, but keep touching it till it gets firm. Yes, we like a firm bottom, don't we? Right. We'll work in. There we go. Right. Let's see. That's fine enough, I'd say. Fine enough for me. Here we go. Nice evenly spread here in the bottom, making the bottom of the cake. Wonderful. Now, we're going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes or until it gets a nice golden brown hue to it. Just like I did in my travels to Africa. Right, and so we're going to put it in the oven. It's going to sit in the middle of the oven at 180 degrees centigrade for about 20 minutes. And as you can see, I washed my hands now for the 20th time today. I'm sure. No. I'm sure my OCD is cured. Don't worry. And there we're off. Right, and now we've come to the part where we make it into a millionaire's shortbread. We're going to make caramel that we're going to put on there. So we're going to need 100 grams of butter once more. We're going to need sugar, but we're going to need brown sugar, muscovado sugar, and condensed milk. I was a bit worried when I read that you needed 397 grams. That seems like an oddly specific number you needed of condensed milk. And I was like, what am I going to do with this extra 3 grams if I buy 400? Or do they come in 200? I don't know. But the can, it seems like it's a thing. They specially made it 397. Seems rather odd number. Why not 400? What are they doing with these 3 points of gram? Who is hoarding these gram that do not go into the can? Someone's sitting there with all this. Where are they going with it? That's a conspiracy theory for you? Yes. Where is the 3 grams going? I don't know. Maybe you do. So we've got our pot here. We're going to put it on very low heat to start with. And we're going to add the butter. We've got, I don't know, as I said, Americans, did you die? Oh, because I did the wrong one. Right, there we go. F, more like an L. As I said, Americans measure this in sticks. I don't know if you like roll this together. Maybe it would be a decent size stick. I don't know. In that goes. Now for the brown sugar. Now I am making fun of American measurements, of course, throughout this, but the thing is, I had to translate this into metric from British ones, and the British ones are even sillier. It's like 2 tiddlypoms. What the hell is a tiddlypom? In this case, we're going to need, let's see, we're going to need, it's as I have measured it or converted it, it's about a little more. God damn it! Get out of there. There we go. It's about roughly 1 deciliter, maybe a little bit more. There we go. For good measure, right? And as I said, the condensed milk come pre-packaged at the exact right amount, 397 grams. I'm not going to even bother trying to convert this. I'm going to pull this out. There we go. Canned goods, very Victorian. Very Victorian. Oh, it looks like... It looks like something. I don't know. Condensed milk, that's what it looked like. God, don't try to get... There we go. And we're going to dump this entire thing in there. Oh, right. I should call her. Now with all the ingredients added, we're going to get our spatula. We're going to mix it out, and we're going to start off by mixing it all out. You might increase the heat a little bit so we get the butter melting properly. But otherwise, we're just gonna go ahead and blend all of this together. At this point, 20 minutes has passed, and it's time to bring out the shortbread, and we'll put it aside and let it cool a little bit, and then we'll continue back on making the caramel. And there we go. Looks nice enough. Now I think it's sent in the recipe. You're supposed to prick this thing, but I'm not a prick, so I didn't do it. Maybe that's why it's not that, even or whatever, but never mind that. Never mind that now. A little bit hard to go back now. Now with the cake out of the oven, we go back to the caramel. As I was pulling it out, I stopped stirring, and when you stop stirring, there is a risk of the muscovado sugar sticking to the bottom due to the high heat, and you get these darker lumps in the caramel. It's not going to affect the taste, but it is going to affect the look of it. With that now, we're going to bring it up to a boil, and it's important that you keep stirring. As I said, the sugar will stick to it. And I should say here, with the nice brown color that we now have on the caramel, it kind of reminds me of the only word that I picked up and remember from Scotland, namely frozen jobbies. Frozen jobbies was apparently the #1 cause of death at Mary's King Claus. They were slipping around those in the winter, and since the Mary's King Claus is quite steep, you can understand that they would not fare well slipping around on, as I said, frozen jobbies. So we're slowly bringing this up to a boil. I'm seeing a few bubbles here and there. And we continue to stir. And then, okay, now I can kind of feel how it's starting to stick at the bottom. And it's also starting to get a little bit thicker here. It's sticking on my spatula. So we're going to bring it down again to low heat. And then we're going to continue to stir for about 5 minutes. In the recipe it said 10 to 5 minutes, but I do not have the patience to stand here and, stir this for 10 minutes. And now I feel as though the caramel is ready, so we're going to pour it onto the cake here. I'm not entirely sure if I got it properly sticky enough, but we'll hope this will work just fine. I think for the measurements, this might be a little more than what my form is supposed to take, but I'll guess if it becomes very thick, a very thick cake, you can just cut it into smaller pieces. And I'm gonna go like that, and there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and lightly make sure that we get it all into every nook and cranny, and now we're gonna let this cool, and then we're gonna add the last part, the final top of it all, and we're gonna make that a little bit special with Scotland in mind. Now as the cake has cooled down, we're going to add the last layer onto the cake, which is going to be white chocolate. But I'm going to make it a little bit special because we're going to try and make some of the chocolate blue, and then we're going to make the Scottish flag, the St. Andrew's cross on it. We'll see how it goes. It might go terribly wrong, but there will be an attempt to make the Scottish flag onto the cake. So let's get started with that. We are now at the stage of melting the chocolate. First things first is you don't want to have the chocolate directly onto the heat source. So what we do is we have a pot, we put water in the pot, and then we put another pot into that. In this case a measuring cup of metal. And then we put the chocolate in there, so the heat will be transferred, but the chocolate will not sit directly on the heat source and not risk burning. The important thing here is you don't want any water to come into the chocolate, because then it will cure and get hard and it won't look good on the cake. Since we're going to try to do 2 different colors, we're going to start with just normal white, and then I'm going to try and color the other bit. And so we're going to make the cross first, or the X first with white chocolate, try to do that, and then we're going to make the blue bit afterwards. We'll see how it goes. I am not super confident in this, but there will be an attempt. An attempt will be made. Each one of these packages contains 150 grams. For this cake, it was recommended at 200 grams. So we've got 100 grams too much. So I'm not going to fill the entire bag. We're not going to put the entire bag in here. But we're going to put quite a lot. Oh, that one's for me. Right, we're going to melt this, and then I'm gonna try and figure out how I'm gonna keep the cross from like blending out all over the cake. But we'll see how it goes. Right, as the chocolate has been melting and I've been standing stirring here, I've been thinking how I'm gonna do this, and I think I have a plan. So I'm gonna pull it out, and what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do the outlines of the cross, and then I'm gonna pour the rest in, so we make the borders of it, and hopefully it will stick in there. We'll see how this goes. So we're gonna start, okay, gonna have to put a little bit more on that. I'm gonna start making. Okay, so here's the first bit. The X could have been better. It's a little bit, it doesn't really match up, but I think it's a good start, and it's the idea that counts, isn't it? It's the idea that counts, not whatever this is. We're gonna put, I think, a few more pieces of chocolate in, and then I'm gonna start mixing in some food coloring. Now I've just got a regular like food coloring. I think you might actually need some special coloring for chocolate. Well, we'll see. Maybe I took a little bit too much here, as it's a lighter blue, isn't it? For the flag. Now we're getting quite a darker one, a darker blue color. But we'll mix this together and see what happens. Oh, you know what? The food coloring is gonna act like water, isn't it? And it's gonna start to cure the chocolate. That, I didn't think of that. Right, that's... Look, here's what I mean by that. It's curing now. I didn't think of that. So it's not gonna look, that's not gonna look too good, is it? And I specifically talked about getting water in chocolate. It's still edible, it's going to be a little bit grainy, and it's not going to be, oh, that's hard to get out onto the cake. So the coloration part didn't really turn out as well, didn't really think that one through using normal food coloring, which cured the chocolate, which I just like seconds before warned about. But we have a result. Here we go. Let's hold it like this. And there we go. Scotland forever.